everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reckless Paradise Podcast. I am your host, Dystro, and tonight's episode is another Shoot the Shit episode. It is episode number 28. This one's going to be kind of a doozy because there's a lot of things we need to talk about. Plus, also, if you hear some background, it's just because my parents are home. But nonetheless, let's dive right on into some of the stuff that happened recently, within the last few weeks or so. Let's just start with the Royal Rumble. Me and Marissa, we had both watched it at our own times and all that stuff. We thought both Rumbles were kind of boring. Not gonna lie. The best match of the night was Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. That's the best match in our opinion. That was the best match. The tag match with Motor City and DIY was alright, but it was just lackluster. Both men's and women's rumbles just didn't really feel like it was a big deal and all that stuff because you knew Charlotte was gonna win because she was advertised, and the Jey Uso win was kind of shocking. Which shocked me and shocked everybody else because everybody thought, okay, it's either Punk or Cena's gonna win or something like that. And it was just very, very lackluster. It wasn't really the best Rumble in ages. If you want to talk about the best Rumble, I would say maybe 08, 09, I would say. That's putting a big stretch on that. But maybe the Royal Rumble in 2017 was kind of a close second there. Because that was kind of all star-studded Rumble in its own right. But yeah, it was just it wasn't the best Rumble pay-per-view or anything. The ladder match between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes really kind of saved the show for us, I think. And plus we were watching on Peacock, because there was a lot of buffering issues and all that stuff, and plus it was on Netflix as well, so there was a lot of buffering issues there as well. But we're just going into Elimination Chamber, going into Fastlane. I think that's the next pay-per-view, I think. I don't really look at the next pay-per-views or anything. But yeah, I thought it was fine. The one key point kind of coming out of the men's rumble was Punk, Roman, and Seth kind of getting eliminated, and for rumors and innuendo, from PW Insider, they said that the main event for one of the WrestleMania nights was going to be Punk, Roman, and Seth. I really don't know how to feel about that. It could be for a title, it could be, but it could also be for not a title. But we shall see how that goes, because it's Punk's never got a WrestleMania main event. Seth and Roman have before. So it's you could play that into it, and plus you also have the favor from Paul Heyman, the Wise Man. So there's a lot of key components here. But also it doesn't really need a title if you want to make it like that. But Jay winning the Rumble was kind of a cool moment. Because he's literally main event Jey Uso. Whether he goes for Gunther or for Cody, which will probably be a better story storyline wise. Because we know Gunther's not gonna lose that title to Jey Uso. There's no way. But you could also play into the fact that Jay and Cody are boys. They won the tag titles together, and then they lost them together. They were involved in the bloodline stuff together. All that stuff. So it's you can have a good, I guess, heel tweener Cody run with that, and then have him full heel, because the title scene is starting to catch up with him. He's the fighting champion every single week, so it's starting to come up. It's starting to catch up with Cody. the women's Rumble, I kind of figured that it was going to be Charlotte. Let's be honest here. Charlotte winning is not going to be, it's not really a big, like, oh, boo hoo, like, big surprise or anything. Because I thought Io was going to win, which would have made more sense, kind of, in the long scheme of things. But it looks like Charlotte might be going for the NXT Women's title, or she might be going for the SmackDown Women's title, or the World Women's title. I call it SmackDown Women's title, sorry. But, like, Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton, that doesn't seem like a bad match either. Julia versus Charlotte, that's not a bad match either. So there's some good, like, I guess matchups that you can do. But it's just like, it just, I don't know. It's like, would you rather have the Charlotte Rhea Ripley rematch from a few years ago, or would you have Charlotte versus Tiffany, or would you rather have Charlotte versus Julia? I really don't know. I would say, like, if you want to run it back, I would say Rhea versus Charlotte. Like, that would be the better matchup, I guess. But it's like they're both faces. Unless you want to turn Charlotte heel like right off the rip, and like just be like, yeah, she's a better heel than a face anyway. So I don't know. I guess we'll see within the next few weeks, I guess. And plus the tag titles, like was featured on pay per view. The last time they featured on pay per view was like WrestleMania 40 last year. Which is sad. It's really, really sad. That's how much they care about the damn tag division. I mean, speaking of like titles and stuff, like AEW Trios titles is gonna be defended on Dynamite this week, and it's been like a long ass time since they gave a shit about the Trios titles. Like, come on, AEW, you got these belts, use them. Like have them being defended by some people that are gonna defend them. Like you gave them to Pac, Claudio, and Wheeler. Have them defend it, like, in New Japan. Have them defend it in, other companies and stuff, because it gives them more prestige, gives them more airtime. And I think just Tony Khan in general is just like, oh, well, I don't really care about this title. It's like, there's like other titles that are more important than this title. But it's like, you gotta have the trios division be a trios division. That's what it's built off of. And you have some good trios on Dynamite and Collision. Have like a trios tournament, like to crown like the new #1 contenders for the trios titles, and then have it like at a big one of the big 4, big 5 AEW pay-per-views. It's super simple. It is really, really simple. And some of these promoters and bookers, they just do not give a shit about some titles. I'm sorry, but it's like, either have the belts like be defended, or just don't have them fucking at all, because it's taking up some space that is not gonna be useful. Like, you have the world title, you have the women's title, you have tag titles, you have the TNT title. Those are 4 major belts right there, and then you have the trios titles. So it's like, that's another belt that you're not really using. And plus, the world champion, Jon Moxley, he's getting more airtime, but he's not defending it as much. And plus, they're leading to Moxley versus Copeland at Revolution, which will be freaking phenomenal. But you gotta build the world champion prestige, but having him defend it. Like, you gotta have him defend the belt against like viable competitors like Orange Cassidy, Shibata. You gotta have some like prestige within some of these titles. Otherwise, they're just gonna get thrown by the fucking wayside, like with Ring of Honor and all that stuff. Anyways, before I go on another freaking tangent here, let's just talk about some things that had happened recently within my driving adventures at my work and all that stuff. As many of you do not know, I am a driver for a certain company and all that stuff, which I will not name names. But like, sometimes like we live off of tips. And there was one incident, I should say. It was like the guy had called our store and had asked for 2 sandwiches and all that stuff. I was like, okay, told him the total and all that stuff. And when I get to the guy's house, there's an ambulance and a fire truck outside. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I was just like, oh, okay, like, all right. So then I walk up to the front door and I see the guy's mom. And I was like, hey, like, what's going on? And she goes, oh, well, this is a weird, unfortunate event, huh? And I was like, yeah. I was like, what's going on? Well, apparently the guy, after he had made that phone call, he had passed out due to, like, low blood sugar. I was like, oh, shit, is he okay? And she goes, yeah, fine, he's fine. Let me just get you your money and, you can be on your merry way. I was like, okay, and I took, she gave me the money and all that stuff. I was like, hopefully he's okay. And she goes, yeah, he'll be fine. He's got his Jimmy John's now. I was like, okay. And then I went on my merry way. That was just a weird turn of events, like that happened because it was just like he was fine 1 minute, but then the next minute he's just like he's passed out due to low blood sugar. Which it was just mind-boggling to me that that happened like within like a 10-15 minute span or something. um Another instance, I guess incident I should say, was like I had two big huge catering orders, and one was going to a hospital, and also like sometimes people like, I would just say this like I guess as a courtesy call, like tip your tip your drivers, tip your waitresses, tip your waiters and all that stuff because they live off of like tips and commissions and all that stuff because like it depends on how good of a job they do because like if they didn't really give a shit about your food they could have just said whatever, fuck off, whatever. But I had taken some time out of my day just to give you that order and you didn't give us that tip and all that stuff. It's like I'm not gonna like trash the person, but it's just like we live off those tips, and that's part of our livelihood. But luckily another catering order had made up for that because like it was like a huge good tip, and I really walked away. I was like, okay, well I rather that big tip was actually like just helped save my day. So I'm actually kind of grateful for that tip. And plus, like I've encountered so many different people on the road. Like I've dealt with, people that are just like stupid or just freaking blind to the road or something, or just like college kids just walking across the road, just not a fucking care in the world. Um, but it's just like we as drivers we deal with a lot of different people every day. Because it's just always a new day. Every day's a new chapter. Within our field. But over the weekend, I was off. I was off of work. And I had to. I went to a local friend's house. My boss's house. Some of you, if you do not know who they are, is Unhinged Gaming. Unhinged Gaming. Medic, Nova, and Midnight. I went over to their place over the weekend to do a recording with them or with Medic. The first 20 minutes of it was kind of like just like it had some action in it. It was like we were like dodging zombies and all that stuff, and the game was Project Zomboid. It's a very fun game and all that stuff. It's like it's very very cool. It's a kind of like a top down like 2D sort of kind of game. It was just like nothing but action for like the first 20 maybe 25 minutes, but then like the rest of the time it was just nothing but like just walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. It was just like just nothing but walking for like 35-40 minutes, and I don't know if they were gonna really use that. I'm thinking it was just a failed take. Which sucks, but you can't do much with that. But then like after like all that walking, we had found some action within the game, but then it was just really nothing. Um, which that was a bust, but it was fun just to just hang out with some of the peeps and all that stuff. Um, and we just like talked and chatted, and shout out to Medic who gave me my new channel logo on my YouTube channel at Dystro Gaming. Shameless plug. But yeah, it was just cool just to hang out with him for like 2 or 3 hours. Then I came home, kind of chilled out for the rest of the day. And then today, as it being Sunday, I want to give a little shout out to my dog Cricket, who is 5 years old today. She's a very, very beautiful girl. So happy birthday, Cricket. Gave her some extra pets and all that stuff. So I want to also talk about like I know like kind of like huge like detour here. But also before that, I want to shout out to my friend Rebecca and her boyfriend Joel. Hi guys. Hopefully you having a good rest of your day. I want to kind of go on like a little detour with some mental health stuff. Recently Marissa's been kind of having some intrusive thoughts, like the meme where you let your thoughts win sort of thing. She's been having kind of that stuff lately. It's just one of those things where it's like her mental demons is kind of catching up with her. But just keep her in your prayers and in your thoughts, because she's going through a mentally tough time right now. She's kind of just stepping away from everything, not contacting anybody, not gaming or anything. She just wants to be left alone for a while. So please respect her privacy at this time, because she doesn't want to lash out at anybody or anything. I keep in contact with her sometimes, but it's just very, very rare. But just at this time, just please respect her privacy and respect her well wishes, because she would do the exact same thing to you. But she's a very close personal friend of mine. We've been friends for almost 4 years this year, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna be trying to go up there in June for her birthday this year. As soon as my income tax comes in. And I want to make sure that she has the best time for her birthday. And hopefully she'll, still be around by the time she reaches her 23rd birthday. So hopefully she will stay for a little bit longer for that to happen. And I know she's always surrounded by us in this community, me, our mutual friend Ken's, Corey, who's been on the channel a few times, her current boyfriend at this time, and her dad and all that stuff. And so it's like she's surrounded by loved ones she's loved, and she just needs all of our love and support at this time, just to get her through this tough, dark time in her life, in her mental state. So please just keep her in your well wishes at this time. So to kind of wrap up this shoot the shit episode 28 episode, kind of want to talk about some recent WWE firings that's happened within the last few days. I'm thinking it's just kind of like budget cuts or some shit. So one of the big ones was kind of Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers, former TNA World Tag Team Champions, former IWGP Tag Team Champions. Carl Anderson is I think a 2 or 3-time Never Openweight Champion. They won the Raw Tag Titles together, SmackDown Tag Titles together. And it's they're a really talented group. They're really talented duo. I guess it was just creative just didn't have anything for them. But it's that was the biggest one to me. That was the shocking one. Another big one was kind of it was a shocker because they weren't really doing anything with her at this time too. Was Isla Dawn. And she was part of the Unholy Union with Alba Fire, and she was like she's a former NXT. She's a former WWE Women's Tag Champion with Alba Fire, and then she was just like she was used for a little bit, and then she wasn't really used and all that stuff, and then it's like she was used for a little bit, she got a little push and all that stuff, and then it's just nothing. Which it's just super just frustrating because like you have all these people and you have this big like fiscal year, like a big financial year, and then it's like you're just doing nothing with them. It's like toys from like Andy Toybin in Toy Story. It's like, like he picks them up. He's like, I want to play with them for a little bit, and then it's I don't want to play with them anymore. It's just so frustrating. Um, Another big one that was kind of shocking was Cedric Alexander. He had signed 8.5 years ago, which was 2017 during the Cruiserweight Classic. If you guys do not know who he is, you're living under a freaking rock. He had a really classic match with Kota Ibushi during that tournament. He's a former, ROH star. I think like PWG star as well in his own right. He's a former Raw Tag Team Champion. He's a former Cruiserweight Champion. It's crazy that he didn't really do much more than that. Like he was a Cruiserweight Champion, and then he went over to Raw, and then like he didn't do really much of anything, and then like he was a Raw Tag Team Champion with Shelton Benjamin, which is a huge accolade. And then it's like he was with the Hurt Business, and then like he just doesn't do anything, and doesn't do anything, and then doesn't do anything, and he's like tagging with Ashanti the Adonis and all that stuff. It's just like, it's just so freaking frustrating. um, but hopefully some of these people will have like better avenues and all that stuff. I know Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, they're probably going to go either back to New Japan, which I hopefully they will, Impact, or they might go to AEW. But I really don't think they would need to go to AEW. I think like either Impact or New Japan would be better for them. Same with Cedric. Like I could see him going to Impact and boosting up their X division. Which like, I mean, hell yeah, like let me freaking like sign me up. Isla Dawn, I don't know where she would go. I could see her going to Impact, because they usually like bring in a lot of like ex WWE talent there. I know like most recently too when I watched the recent Impact show, Josh Alexander was gonna be he's leaving TNA, which he might be going to NXT to team up with Ethan Page to reform the North, which is gonna be freaking exciting because like they haven't teamed together since Ethan Page left Impact a few years ago. But yeah, like some of the other names on here was Akin Razor of the Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering as well, which is like a multi-generational manager here. Sonya Deville and Blair Davenport. The most shocking one out of all of them too was Giovanni Vinci. Like, what? Like, okay, you got rid of Giovanni Vinci, who is most importantly like one half of like or one third of like the best like Imperium group of that time. I know Ludwig is probably devastated. But it's like Giovanni Vinci, really? Like he's been in like multiple like high profile matches and all that stuff. He was a former NXT Tag Team Champion. I think multi-time Tag Team Champion. Um, like I said, he was part of Imperium with Gunther, or Walter, Ludwig Kaiser, and Alexander Wolf for a brief spell. and then like I said, like high profile matches and all that stuff, and then like he got repackaged as something else, and then he got repackaged again, and it's just like they just keep repackaging my guy. They just keep repackaging him. But I don't know where he'll end up. I would love to see him in TNA, but I really don't know where he would really fit. Like he could fit in the X division. Like that would be freaking awesome. But I could just see him going for the world title. Like he doesn't have to be believable, but like just have him go for the world title. Like that'd be freaking amazing because he didn't go for it in WWE. Um, but then like also with um Blair Davenport, they gave her the NXT Women's title, and then like she was having like some really good matches in NXT UK, and then she goes over to NXT, and then she becomes this like anonymous person, and then like they give her some like good high profile matches, and then like she goes over to SmackDown, and then she doesn't really do anything, and then she's off TV for a while, and it's just like they just didn't have anything for her, which is really really sad because she's really really fucking talented. Especially like during the early days of her career, like on the indie scene, especially in WCPW. Like she was a WCPW Women's Champion. She was like I think like a Pro Wrestling Eve star. She was like a Progress Wrestling star too in her own right. And I think there was like a tweet out there. I don't know where it is, but I think somebody said like B Priestley or Blair Davenport's gonna be more successful than Will Ospreay will be, and it's like it says play the curb your enthusiasm meme, and it's just like oh god, it's like that's just so true. Um, but then another name that kind of shocked me was Sonya Deville. She was in NXT for a while. And then like she didn't really get a good like I guess chance to showcase her talents in NXT because she wasn't really going for the women's title there. Then she gets brought up to the main roster, being part of Paige's group called Absolution, which was kind of a rip off of the Riot Squad because they brought up Mandy Rhodes and Sonya Deville, and then it's like they did the exact same thing on SmackDown. It's like they copy and pasted it from Raw to SmackDown. They brought up like Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan to run havoc on SmackDown and all that stuff. And it's like they really didn't do anything on there. I know Sonya Deville is like she's a multi-time women's tag team champion in her own right, which is really freaking good. She was a general manager at one point. She just didn't really do much of anything, which is kind of sucks. um, but then it's just like all these names, and you have a good financial year, like I said, and you're doing budget cuts. A lot of these companies are going to pick and snipe at every single one of them, and they're going to use them to the fullest extent of their abilities because they didn't do it on their fucking previous company. And that's where like AEW, ROH, MLW, New Japan, Noah, like DDT, you know, and stuff like other promotions, they will use them to their fullest extent of their abilities. And that's where like Paul Levesque and like some of these other people, like they're not using their talent to their fullest extent of their abilities because they didn't give them storylines or they just didn't have any fucking creative for them, and it's like they're just pushed off to the wayside, and that sucks because like they're signed to like a multi-year deal, and then it's like they're getting like maybe 2 or 3 years in, and it's like we don't have anything for you, so you're free to go. And like some of these people, they have 90-day no compete clauses, or with Sonya's contract, her contract expired and she didn't renew it, so she's free to go do whatever she fucking wants. It's like same with Mandy, like when she got let go during like the that period where like it was kind of taboo for other people to do anything outside of the company without companies like say so. And it was just like one of those things where it's like, oh really, like you're gonna get on me for that. um it's just so fucking crazy, man. Another one that had just popped up just not too long ago was Electra Lopez, who's like the manager but also competitor for Legado del Fantasma, which is Santos Escobar's group on the SmackDown roster. She signed back in 2021, and then she got let go on Friday of this year. So she was there for a good while. But it's just like, man, it's just like all these people, they're just, it's just so freaking frustrating, man. Um, but I'm actually kind of excited to see where they all end up. I'm thinking, like I said, with like Gallows and Anderson, like they go back to TNA because that's where they kind of thrived. I could see them going back to New Japan, which like the tag team division in New Japan kind of needs to like freshen up a little bit. Um, but yeah, that's all I've got to say about some of this stuff. And that is the end of the Shoot the Shit episode 28. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What was your favorite part of this like whole spiel that I just went on? I went on a huge tangent on so many different parts. um, but if you made it to the very end of this video, please make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on all social medias in the link in the description below, which will take you to our link tree, which will have our Reddit page, Instagram pages, Twitter pages, Facebook pages, my gaming YouTube channel, if I could speak it today. And tonight's song of the night is a song request by Marissa. It is a Heart song, and it's called Never. It is Never by Heart, if I could just pronunciate it. So tonight's song of the night is Never by Heart, and that is it. And I will see you this Thursday for another episode of the Rex Paradise Podcast. Peace!